strange to newer readers today. And what I'll say to that is that much of Barry Allen's character post Flashpoint, New 52, is really taken from Wally West. I've heard different podcasters and comics fans say that Barry Allen today really is a slightly older version of Wally West, minus all of Wally's backstory. Something that Barry is able to do today, which actually comes from the post-crisis Wally West, is Wally's ability to see things in not just black and white, but to also see the shades of gray. And so Wally would have a fair degree of success in talking with even an established criminal and making them see the error of their ways and giving them a chance to change themselves, to atone, to do better. Whereas Barry would simply tie up a crook and race him off to police headquarters, Wally would try to talk to a criminal or somebody who was about to do something regrettable, and say, it doesn't have to be this way. I'm sure that you've had a hard time. I'm sure that there are reasons why you're doing what you're doing, but you don't have to do this. And we saw that this during Wally's time as the Flash in his interactions with the Pied Piper and with the Trickster. They were both criminals who Wally was able to help reform. I'd say especially so with Pied Piper. Pied Piper would appear at different points during the second volume of The Flash as an ally to Wally, and was more, even though it seemed like a reckless move by Wally to reveal his secret identity to the world, this was also a way for criminals and would-be criminals to see that Wally really was a human being, and he wasn't really putting up a wall between himself and other people, outside of when he was being the spoiled jerk. But certainly it helped people like Piper and Trickster realize, okay, there's a real man underneath this suit, and he really cares about me. And so for years in the DCU, both Piper and the Trickster were on the side of the Angels. And we see this play out here in this story, as Wally doesn't have to talk Joe out of what he's doing, but certainly Wally is there to give Joe the moral support which he needs at this point. If it weren't for Wally being here, Joe could very well say, all right, well, I don't know what to do at this point. And Joe could have ended up doing something very stupid, in which he would have gotten in trouble with the authorities. And this maybe could have led to Joe becoming a crook. But instead, because Wally was there saying, hey, you're a good guy. I know you were about to make a mistake, but we're going to fix it, and I'm going to help you fix it. It's like Joe had a second chance at this point. And even though these characters probably never show up again in the DC universe, the reader certainly gets the feeling that things are going to turn out okay for Joe and Maria. Joe is going to find another job. It's very possible that Wally will actually vouch for Joe and will help Joe in finding employment elsewhere. So again, really nice to see this theme of forgiveness and the hero giving a would-be criminal a second chance. Nice to see it play out in a Christmas story, but this can play out in any story at any time of year. I'm recording this episode so far in advance. I'm nowhere near close to decorating my home for the Christmas season. and yet rereading the story has brought a big smile to my face. In addition to the great writing by Mark Waid on this issue, Greg LaRocque was an excellent Flash artist. I really like how LaRocque was able to capture the humanity in his characters. He certainly made Wally look like a youthful, energetic, somewhat rascally fellow. He gave Linda this beautiful look, but he gave her the sweet innocence, while also depicting her as someone strong. And that's something that's really wonderful about the character of Linda Park, is that she really was Wally's anchor at this time. She was far from a damsel in distress. And certainly if it wasn't for Linda Park, things probably wouldn't have gone in the direction that it did for Wally. I really like how LaRocque shows the playfulness, the love between Linda and Wally, as well as the love between Jay and Joan. This artwork here looks really light, upbeat, and the action scenes look great. LaRocque was one of those Flash artists who knew how to show movement in every panel. And I've said this before, the comic book is a static two-dimensional medium. And so when you read a two-dimensional medium and you get this sense of epic movement, it tells you that the artist has done a really wonderful job. Just one other tidbit before I do the sign-off on this episode. Really interesting that early on in the story, Jay refers to Wally as the son that he and Joan never had. And from what I understand, it's a pretty sad story behind Jay and Joan. It's my understanding that, and this is probably a post-crisis addition to the timeline, Jay and Joan had tried to have children, were unable to have kids, at some point adopted the little boy who then died of flu or pneumonia. And so it's interesting here that Jay refers to Wally as the son they never had, because 2-3 years later, Zero Hour, of course, would come out, and in that storyline, Jay would refer to Barry as the son he never had, and Wally was more akin to a grandson. It's just a neat little bit of trivia there. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Christmas 2018 special. Hope you enjoyed it. This was a really nice way for me to cap off this year and also cap off my tribute to my friend Chris Ivy, host of the dearly departed From Kid to Flash podcast. But Mr. Ivy is still very much alive and well, and he is the co-host of the amazing Geek Brunch Retro podcast with co-hosts Mike Myers and Rob Krieger. So please give that podcast a listen if you haven't done so already. Folks, I want to wish you all a wonderful holiday season. To those of you who celebrate the holiday, Merry Christmas. To those of you who enjoy the whole holiday season, my warmest of season's greetings to you. I hope you all have a safe and happy new year. Comics and History will return in 2019. Maybe not with as many episodes in the early going, depending on how things go for myself and my family in the new year. But I am working on putting together episodes to release during my busiest months at school, i.e. January and February. As always, you can email me at comicsandhistory@gmail.com. If you're so inclined, you can also go on over to Facebook and like the Comics and History Facebook page to get regular updates on upcoming show releases. In a couple of weeks, I'll be releasing the second part of what is sure to be a mammoth, oversized episode number 124. I'll be continuing my look at the epic John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake run on The Spectre. Hope you'll all join me in a couple of weeks for part 2 of episode 124. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Until another 2 weeks have come and gone, this class is dismissed.